Welcome to the Week in Politics with Michelle Grattan. I'm Nick Klomp, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor here at the University of Canberra. Good morning, Michelle.
Hi, Nick.
Nationals leader Barnaby Joyce has been on personal leave, but it seems that he spent the week in the media anyway. Has this been a sensible strategy by him?
I don't think it has been. I think that his interview, particularly with Fairfax, a long interview conducted in the Armadale townhouse, which of course has been controversial because it's been rent-free, that interview didn't go down well with a number of colleagues. It did seem very self-serving, and I think that colleagues would have been much happier if Barnaby Joyce had just been quieter and taking his own counsel and sorting out his domestic affairs during this week.
But one of Joyce's backbenchers, Andrew Broad, has said that Joyce should stand down and he'll raise the leadership at Monday's party meeting. What's the thinking about his position?
Well, the thinking through most of this week has been that he does retain the numbers, that people are sticking by him, largely, I think, because they recognise that the alternative is not going to be very electorally compelling. The only person really being talked about now is Michael McCormack. Now, if he gets the job, he may grow into the job, but it's not as though you have someone who you can say, well, if Barnaby Joyce is out, this person is really going to do the job well. So that's kept the numbers with him. But I think now that there are so many problems surrounding Barnaby Joyce, we heard late this week there's been an allegation of sexual harassment made against him that's gone to the National Party president. Now, he strongly denies this, I should stress, but every day there's something else that comes out. Some of these things are significant, some of them are not, but the damage that this is doing the government is so great that you'd have to think his position is weakening, and that you'd have to also question how long the Nationals can tolerate a position where really they're paralysed, the government is being undermined, and nothing else is getting any oxygen.
Meanwhile, Tony Abbott has been stirring the pot again with his call on reducing immigration dramatically. He's been slapped down by ministers, but would this be a popular idea in the community?
I think among many people it would be quite popular. I personally don't think it's good policy, but the government really is not dealing with this very well, I don't think. They sent out Scott Morrison. Now, Tony Abbott is very bitter about Scott Morrison arising from the 2015 leadership issues, and that wasn't a good person to lead the charge against him, I don't think. And what's happened is that an intervention which could have been really played down and not caused all this noise has in fact blown up into another major row. Various other ministers climbed into Tony Abbott. He's written an op-ed piece attacking them all, and so it's been a big negative for the government, where they could have just put the counter case, kept it all fairly low key, and because Tony Abbott's made these points before, it wouldn't have got the sort of publicity it's now getting. I do think Tony Abbott is ramping up his activities as we draw closer to those 30 negative news polls. We're up to 27 this week, and of course Malcolm Turnbull cited 30 polls when he challenged Tony Abbott, and Tony Abbott doesn't need a very long memory to recall all the pain. So I think we'll hear a good deal more from a pretty aggressive Tony Abbott in the next few weeks.
All this noise on the government side has drowned out Bill Shorten, who's been touring northern Queensland. What's his message at the moment?
Well, he's coping with the Adani issue, and he's coping with the Batman by-election in Melbourne, fighting off the Greens. Adani is a big issue in Batman, but of course it's a big issue in Queensland too, and so he's trying to walk a fine line. He's been in Queensland this week announcing that a Labor government would have various initiatives that would create jobs. And this is to inoculate the Labor Party against those who say, well, you don't support Adani, you're not promoting Adani, and it represents some jobs. So he is really balancing on this barbed wire fence. His position at the moment is that Adani shouldn't get any government help with its railway and so on. But if it stacks up commercially and stacks up environmentally, then it should or could go ahead. But of course, commercially, at the moment, there seems very little prospect that Adani will be able to get any financing. It's missed another deadline. And so there is some speculation in the Labor Party that Bill Shorten could say, well, Adani has fallen over effectively commercially, therefore we regard it as dead. But his exact lines when he's campaigning now, back in Batman, we still have to see.
Fascinating as always. Michelle Grattan, thank you again.
Thanks, Nick.